It's normal for our brains and our memory to slow down as we age. In fact, the Queensland Brain Institute says that this happens as early as our 50s and 60s that it begins. Some studies even say maybe as early as our 30s and 40s. I always used to tease my mom when she would say she couldn't think of a word, it was on the tip of her tongue. I would tell her, well, that's because you have too many files up there now that you have to comb through in order to find that word. But it's funny because we have on an article that we wrote a quote from today.com, and it actually says I was basically right. That it tends to be in some cases that we just have so much that has happened in our lifetime. We have so many memories and things to sort through that it can slow down how our brain processes things. So, this is Robin with SeniorSafetyAdvice.com, and today we're going to talk about 7 ways to help you stay sharp as you age. So, what are the factors that affect our cognitive abilities? Well, obviously, genetics plays a big part in it. If you come from a genetic predisposition to Alzheimer's or dementia, you may find that somewhere down the road that comes into play in your life. Other things that can affect our brain and our memory are things like a health condition such as diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, because those can impede some of the normal flow of blood to our brain. Certain medications can affect our memory and how sharp we stay. Things like our lifestyle, smoking can affect it, excessive alcohol use can affect it, being very sedentary, not getting up and doing much in the way of exercise, those are things that can impede blood flow to the brain as well. Obviously, a past history of a brain injury, maybe you had a concussion when you were younger, that might be something that would come into play as you age. Obviously, too, the environment, pollution, things like that can have a say in how our brains age. Sleep quality is another thing. I would love it if I could get my restful sleep that I used to get when I was younger, but I toss and turn and wake up 20 times a night, and I'm sure many of you do as well. So sleep quality can also impact that, as can things, mental health conditions, anxiety, depression, things like that can also be a factor in how our brains age. So, taking all of that into consideration, here's 7 ways that you can work on improving your memory and your brain function so that hopefully, as you age, you will not have as much of a decline in your memory and your cognitive abilities. So, the first thing is exercise. I mentioned before that being sedentary can affect it, and a study out of Brigham Young University says that exercise helps to increase blood flow to the brain. That makes sense that if you have more blood flow, then you will end up having more nutrients circulating in your brain, and that will be helpful for you. So make sure you get up, take a walk, go to the gym, do something, get outside and enjoy a beautiful day, something to get you up off the couch during your retirement and your later years and keep you exercising. The next thing that you can do is make sure that you eat right. So ditch the fast food. I know it's an easy thing to do because if you're tired and you've been working all day, whatever, you don't maybe want to fix a meal, but it's important for you to have healthy food and healthy nutrients. So ditch the fast food, start to eat more omega-3 things like fatty fish, things like that, healthy fats like avocados and olive oil, things, the Mediterranean diet leaps to mind. Those are the blue zone foods, as they call them. Those are very healthy for you, and they give you nutrients that in turn will help to feed your brain as well as your body. Number 3 on my list is to make sure you keep up with your social ties. So as we age, sometimes we become a little more isolated. You're not working anymore. Your kids are grown, and so there's less reasons maybe to get out and be social, but it's very important for you to be social. In fact, the University of Michigan study actually said that all you really need is even just 10 minutes a day of being social to help boost your brain activity and your healthiness of your brain. The next thing on the list to help keep you sharp are puzzles. We've all, I think, probably kind of heard about things like jigsaw puzzles and Sudoku and crossword puzzles, but they really do help you keep sharp. You have to start thinking about how are you going to solve this puzzle, or where does this puzzle piece go? And so you're constantly thinking about that. Going along with that would be games. Things that are going to keep you kind of calculating. I don't know, I don't play bridge, but that leaps to mind that that would be something that would be good to help you. You having to strategize. Other games that help you strategize would be helpful. Um, Yahtzee isn't really strategic in the sense that you're just rolling dice, but you also have to figure out how you are you going to keep these? Are you going to roll again? Whatever. So there is a strategy involved as far as that goes. Even things like doing calculations in your mind where normally you would use a calculator. If you can, as you're going through the grocery store, if you can kind of keep a tally in your mind to see whether or not you end up with the same balance that the cashier does or in that same ballpark, that's going to help you. Even something as simple as doing something with your non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed like me and you always brush your hair right-handed, try doing it with your left hand. It sounds silly that that little thing would help, but it does. It builds different neural pathways in your brain, which helps your brain health. The next thing on the list is that sleep, that quality sleep that I mentioned before. The National Sleep Foundation says that in addition to things, the cerebral spinal fluid actually goes through and it cleans our brains as we sleep. It helps to get out old cells and things like that, but it also helps to solidify our memory. So if you can get quality sleep, then that is going to help your brain function as well and your memory as well. Going back to lifestyle, the next thing on the list is to clean up your lifestyle. If you are drinking alcohol, you want to make sure it's no more than one drink a day. And that's not coming from me, that's coming from a study by Harvard. By now, we all know that cigarette smoking is not helpful for our bodies. It's not helpful for our brains either. So, if at all possible, please stop smoking. And the last thing on the list, number 7, is to always be learning. No matter what, you're not in school, but no matter what it is, you can still learn something. Read books. We have an article about how seniors can audit some college classes for free. Take a college class, take a painting class, take a class on learning how to play Sudoku. Anything that you can do, learn a language. Anything like that, again, is going to help with those neural pathways to build them and keep them strong and healthy and help you to reduce the chances of having a reduced cognitive function as you age. Now, you might have gotten to this part of the video and you're wondering, well, how do I know if I have a memory problem? Well, if if you see these traits in your parent, it really is time to get an assessment. Something like I was talking about with my mom. Words, you can't find the word, it's on the tip of your tongue. Okay, all of us have that issue at some point. I know I do. I know she did. I think of many friends who are like, you know what I'm talking about. But if this is something that is a frequent thing that the person cannot really complete their thought, they can't find the correct word for something, they call it something else. Instead of a clock, they refer to it as the box with the numbers about the time. Something like that that's unusual for them and they do it frequently, they should be assessed. Another warning sign is somebody who gets dressed and they're putting their clothes on incorrectly. Maybe they put their shoes on, the left shoe on the right foot and vice versa. Maybe they put their shirt on backwards and didn't realize it. Obviously, the shirt thing can happen on occasion. I just did it myself the other day, but right away I realized it wasn't correct and I changed it. I'm talking about somebody who's getting dressed incorrectly and then really doesn't have any idea that they have done this. Or if you point it out to them, they're confused as to why you think their shirt is on on in backwards, or why you think their shoes are not on the right foot, that kind of thing. Another warning sign is they can't do simple math if they used to in their heads or even on a piece of paper. So, if you're somebody who always was able to uh, do math in your head. My father could do that, 12 plus 5 is 17, and he could just rattle it off like that, or he could calculate, a long series of numbers, he could add them all up, that kind of thing, on a piece of paper. If that is something that's different, that that person who used to be able to do those things cannot now, it's another sign that they really should get a cognitive assessment. And last but not least, sometimes if a senior isn't showering or they're not shaving, they're not keeping up that personal hygiene, that can sometimes be a sign of a cognitive deficit. It can also be things like depression, being isolated again. So you need to take it in context, but it is something to think about if that is a new thing for that person. So I hope that these tips have helped you. I hope you'll put them into action so that your cognitive abilities, your brain, will stay as sharp as possible as you age. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe. The button is down there in the corner, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of our informative videos. And again, thanks for watching. Until the next video, take care. Bye.